Like, just describe something you could give me as a forced review that would not be pop culture related.
Anal beads.
Hi, I'm Alan.
And I'm not Tim.
You're not Tim, and this is Popculture Pontification.
The show where we talk about work and Dragon Ball Z and what we did on our holidays.
What are you trying to insinuate there, Russell? Are you insinuating something? You being a little insinuator?
You're perhaps insinuating that the podcast took a different direction while I was away?
Well, what people don't know from behind the scenes is that while on recording, Russell may seem like a charming, laid-back sort of guy. Behind the scenes, he is a slave master.
Yeah.
Yeah, just really buckles me down under his rules. Anytime I mention anything that's not pop culture, it's like...
I gotta crack the whip.
You gotta crack the whip, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, what's that got to do with anything? I'm like, I'm getting somewhere with this story. It's like, not good enough! But yes, you've been on holiday.
I have.
You've been in the dangerous lands of America.
Yeah.
Did you go anywhere else, or was it just America?
Well, we took a cruise out of Baltimore, which went to the Bahamas, and then back to the US. So the Bahamas is a different country, but...
Is it like in the same way that Bali is a different country to Australia?
Yeah, basically. It was full of Americans because it was spring break. So
oh god, yeah,
this
would have been fun. How many
drunk college age people?
Is it like sort of Jersey Shore style, where it's like just topless women flashing themselves all over the place? Does it live up to every American movie about spring break?
No, but it was like 1:00 in the afternoon when we were off the ship, so probably got more wild later on.
Well, you were asleep because it was past 9:30.
Yeah,
it was your bedtime.
Yeah, I'm very much an old man.
Okay, well, I feel like this podcast is going to take a pretty quick turn into Russell tells us about his holiday and the pop culture things he did on the holiday, probably, instead of actual interesting stories about the holiday. So, I have very little to talk about.
Oh,
this
well,
week.
That's good. Get out of my way.
Yeah, I'm just got like one thing to mention, and then I'm going to get out of the way.
Yeah.
And that is that one of the mangas, very few mangas that I read, is being turned into an anime again. And you may recall, back on episode 1 or 2, I mentioned about a manga being turned into an anime.
Yeah.
And you guffawed, you poo-pooed, you laughed in my face.
I'm sure if we listen back to the recording, I did not laugh in your face.
I have the original unedited recording where you did, and I edited it out.
It was like 25 minutes of me going,
yeah, cracking the whip. Yeah. Get back on topic. No, it is a manga called, I'm not going to say the Japanese name, but the English translation.
Pronunciation.
No, because I don't know it. The English pronunciation is My Hero Academia.
I see.
And it's all about this world where pretty much everybody has superpowers, or they're called quirks in the manga. And it's about this young boy who dreams of going to a high school for superheroes, so where you get taught to be a superhero, then you like go out and you're like government sanctioned, and you go fight crime and become popular and do the right thing and save everybody.
But you already have superpowers from birth?
Not from birth. People manifest them around like 4 or 5.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
But so this school is just teaching you like the rules of being a superhero,
like ways to like use your powers properly, and like training you to like use them more effectively and so on and such forth. Right. And like some people will have like technological additions to them, like that'll allow them to have more powerful powers, right, and all that sort of stuff.
Like robot arms.
Yeah, sure. People will have like attachments that augment their powers.
Yeah. Not
give them new ones.
Okay.
And it's about this kid who doesn't have any powers, who wants to get in there. And it's about his journey of attempting to gain the powers. I'm not going to say anything more because anything more will be spoilers.
We never give any spoilers on this show.
No. Never at all. It's like, we just should be called Spoiler Pontification, is what it should be.
But given that the first episode of this has just been released,
yes,
maybe we'll hold off on the spoilers.
Correct. And you have laughed in my face back when I told you. There it is again. back when I first mentioned about One Punch Man being the manga that you should read,
Yeah.
and I described it to him as like, oh, it's a guy who wins every fight with one punch. You're like, don't be fucking ridiculous. That sounds boring as shit. And now it is something you greatly enjoyed watching.
It's a book about a boy trying to get into school.
So boring. But the first episode, unlike One Punch Man, was a bit of a slow burn because it doesn't jump straight into the action. Because in One Punch Man, he's already a superhero.
Yeah.
Fighting crime and punching dudes. Whereas this is about more of a storyline. But it does ramp up if it I'm assuming it'll follow the manga.
Mm-hmm.
If it ramps up, it'll get very exciting and very intense very quickly.
Is this character like I forget his name, the guy who rode the bike in One Punch Man?
Oh, Midden Rider.
He was the best. He had no particular powers, but he was really determined to be heroic.
Yes. Pretty much. Yeah.
Nice.
There's actually already there's GIFs of the anime out there.
Yeah.
With people editing it, and one of them is this kid watching one of the very first videos that was released in his universe of somebody being a superhero.
Okay.
And it's just after he learned he can't be a superhero, so he's turns to his mum's, tears in his eyes. He's like, can I be a superhero too? I haven't got any powers. And
is his mum a superhero?
She can levitate objects towards her and stuff. A lot of people just have very minor powers, but other people have very explosive. It's a real random bag about what you get.
Yeah.
And somebody's already edited the footage on the screen from the in-anime footage of the other guy to a picture of Moon and Rider. Yeah. But even, actually, fun fact, here's some information for you from behind the scenes. In the manga of One Punch Man, which has not been turned into an anime yet, one of the more technological superheroes in the S class, develops a power reader, basically.
Okay.
Something that took a base level of a normal human and assigned a number to it, strength-wise, and then when he just shows a montage of him scanning other people.
This is like an over 9,000 situation.
Sort of, kind of. And a normal human was set as a base of 1.
Yeah.
Strength-wise. And Moon and Rider get scanned as a sea-level superhero.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a power level of 80 or something. So he's still quite strong for a normal human.
What's Saitama?
Saitama, he scanned Saitama and it just didn't give a readout.
Yeah, okay. Error, overflow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, whatever string he used just didn't have enough numbers. But anyway, I recommend you watch it. I would recommend you, Russell, wait a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. So, you're not just going to watch the first episode and be like, oh, boring.
It's a slow burn.
It's a slow burn. I got other stuff to do.
Yeah.
I got Street Fighter 5 to play.
Yeah.
But yeah, give it a look. My Hero Academia. If it follows the manga, it will get very interesting very quickly.
Okay. All
right. And now I'm going to go. I'm going to leave. And you can just talk to the mic for the next, 50 minutes.
Not 50 minutes. Since you mentioned Street Fighter 5, I will just quickly say that when I first mentioned it, I mentioned there was a lot of missing features.
There was a whole lot of stuff. You were like, oh, this is a piece of shit. Why did I pay full price for this?
That were going to be patched in later. Well, they've started to be patched in. So
I still don't understand why they didn't just wait a month.
I assume they had some sort of financial reason for doing so. They had to meet a deadline or something.
Whatever. I hate that aspect of the game industry these days.
Yeah. Where
they got to get it out by a certain line. But there is the flip side of the coin, which is Valve. In which case, it'll come out eventually. Don't worry about it. There's got to be a happy middle ground.
Yeah. Anyway, the thing I wanted to say is that the first of these patches has come out. And it's introduced proper training mode.
Uh-huh.
Where you can practice combo techniques and stuff like that. And a much more expansive tutorial. So that I actually have some idea of what the heck I'm doing.
Feels like that would be the easiest mode to interpret. No, it's not interpret. Input. Because it's basically just a normal fight, except the AI you're fighting against just stands there.
Well, they had a training mode where you can just beat up a dummy.
Yeah.
But now they've introduced one that actually says, alright, you're playing Ryu. Well, one of Ryu's combos is this set of moves, so practice that.
Quarter circle forward punch.
No, combos.
That's a combo.
That's not a combo, that's a special move.
Yeah, whatever. Isn't that what you're talking about? Special moves?
No, combo.
Like what? What do you...
It's like a series of techniques.
Yes, thank you. I understand what the term
Like-
means. Like, what in context of the game does it mean?
Well, a combo is a series of moves that, when performed in a special sequence, can't be blocked.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you throw a punch and a kick, then the opposing character will be able to block the second one.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a combo, then that punch and kick, the kick can't be blocked.
Okay. Has this been in, like, other games?
Well, it's been in all
Street Fighter
Street
4
Fighter games. Yeah.
I don't... Maybe that's why I was never very good at it.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I don't remember, like, being built-in combos, you know? Like, you can punch and then kick and then punch and kick and uppercut and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But I wasn't aware that they were part of a set combo.
Oh, yeah, there's so many layers.
Ugh.
It's very complicated.
No wonder it took me forever to beat the story mode in Street Fighter 4.
It's like there's a combination of the hard bits of Dota, in that there's all these characters that you have to learn all the different abilities of, and they all interact in different ways, and you have to think about your spacing and stuff like that. So there's tactics that come in there. And it's also the hard bits of Guitar Hero, and then you have to input this like specific button sequence at a specific time in order to execute the move you want to do.
I suppose. Or you could just do what most people do in Dota and in Street Fighter.
And just mash all the
Well, no,
buttons.
which is just pick one character and then learn everything that character has to offer and ignore the rest.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Your character is Ryu.
Ryu, because he's the
yes.
easiest.
He is the easiest.
Yeah.
Well, he's the oldest. He's the first.
Yeah.
Mm.
It was originally just Ryu and palette swap Ryu.
Is correct. I mean, originally, it was just Ryu, who was a side-scroller punch 'em up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's going way back.
Yeah, which I didn't play until after I'd already played Street Fighter 2, so I was quite confused.
Fair enough. It's like, where's Ken? Oh, where's Sagat? Don't see him. Where are you?
Okay, so that is a little Street Fighter update.
Alright.
And let's get on to what I did on my holidays.
Holiday chat.
Yeah.
What everybody is waiting to hear.
So, keeping it pop culture focused.
We're on couch style, so... Because I'm still moving, so this is very much banter cast. This is very relaxed.
No,
although I don't
there
think
in the name.
All right. I'm just trying to give the people what they want, Russell.
Well, regardless of our listenership figures for the holiday special.
Fair enough.
The first stop was New York. And in New York, there's a street called Broadway.
No.
Which is actually a really, really long street. And the part with all the, like, theatres on it, it's only a small bit of it. Broadway goes, like, all the way up and down Manhattan.
I mean, that's believable. I'd be willing to believe that.
Anyway, Broadway is in New York, and we were in New York as well. And we went to see a Broadway show.
Hooray.
It was
What did you watch? Cats?
Disney's Aladdin
Oh, yes, of course.
at the New Amsterdam Theatre.
The classic Disney Aladdin Broadway show.
Yeah,
Critically acclaimed.
it is actually.
It probably is, actually.
The guy playing the genie, whose name I've forgotten, actually won the Tony Award for Best Actor or something like that a couple of years ago.
Did you boo him? Did you boo him because he's not Robin Williams?
No, he was great.
Nah.
Although it was a little bit uncomfortable. In the movie, the genie is basically a slave who has to do whatever his master says, and he calls him master. But it's alright because he's a big blue ghost man, and the voice actor is a white man.
Fair enough.
But in the stage show, it was a physical black man on the stage.
Well,
talking about wanting his freedom and calling Aladdin his master.
Just adding another layer of political to it.
Oh, I'm not sure how I feel about this. Anyway, I got past that because it was such an amazing show.
You're alright with the slavery because it was funny.
Yeah. It was really, really well done.
Mm-hmm.
All the sets and costumes were great, and all the songs. There was a few extra songs on top of the ones from the movie.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, they were all pretty good. They were written by the same... What do you call them? Composers.
Composers, there you go.
From the movie. And actually, the guy playing Jafar in the stage show was the guy who voice acted Jafar in the movie.
Yeah.
So that was pretty awesome.
Was it one of those things where they found a guy who did a great voice and modeled the character after him? Did he look like Jafar in real life?
Not really.
Okay.
He looked a bit like John Lithgow.
Okay.
Do you know John Lithgow?
No, I have no idea who that is.
He's the guy from Third Rock from the Sun.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm actually a big fan of that guy.
Yeah.
Maybe it is John Lithgow. You don't know.
I do.
Could have been.
It was Jonathan Freeman.
Yeah,
It was written in the thing.
That's his nom de plume.
Yeah, maybe. Nah, never mind.
What the hell was that?
That was me trying to work out why somebody would have, act under their real name in Hollywood movies and then also act in Hollywood movies under a different name.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
It's double the income.
Is it?
Yep.
Don't you have to pay like double tax?
Yeah, I know. He's dodging one tax on one of those guys.
I'm sure it's a tax dodge. So that was Aladdin.
Yep.
And on the way over there, see, I'm just jumping between pop culture things here. None of this
You're not
holiday
sticking to chronological order, though.
No.
Yeah,
I'm not.
I don't know.
I'm sticking to the order of the things that came into my mind when I was writing notes.
Fair enough.
On the plane on the way over there, and it is a staggeringly long flight to get to America.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I flew to Canada.
So, I watched quite a few movies.
As you do. Yep. I fucking hate flying.
Yeah,
not for any
I don't like it.
not any particular fear of flying. Is that I'm 6'4".
Yeah.
Flying is not comfortable for me.
Yeah, well, it's rough enough on me, and you got a few inches on me.
That's true. In all aspects.
In the height department.
Well, whatever you want to call it. Height, length, whatever.
Girth,
yep. All aspects, like I said.
Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, movies I watched on the plane.
I forgot how easy it is to derail you.
Yeah, it's really easy. The first one I wanted to watch, because I missed it at the cinemas, I was really annoyed, was Creed.
Oh, okay.
The latest in the long-running Rocky series
Sort
of
a
movies.
reboot, though, because isn't his son?
Well, in the original Rocky movie, Rocky fought Apollo Creed.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yeah, no, you're right. Yep.
And they later became friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so in
Who played Apollo Creed?
Carl Weathers.
Oh, okay.
Was also in Predator.
Mm-hmm.
He's picked good movies.
Those two, pretty good.
Yeah. I don't know any other movies.
I don't know any other
sure
movies
they're
he's
good.
been in either. Seems like a competent actor.
Yeah. So they became friends later, and Apollo trained Rocky to fight Mr. T in the third one.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what Mr. T's character is called.
He's Mr.
T. Clubber Lang, that was it.
Yes.
And then...
Was he around when he fought Dolph Lundgren?
Well, spoilers for Rocky 4. Turn off now.
The movie that's
30 seconds.
20 years old.
At least. Dolph Lundgren killed Apollo Creed in the ring.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And Rocky came back to fight him.
Yes. I must crush you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then this latest movie, Creed, retconned in that Apollo had an illegitimate son who was born after he died.
Okay. So he got, just had a quickie right before the match.
Well, it doesn't specify how long before. But Adonis Creed is his son.
What an amazing name.
Yeah. Well,
Apollo and Adonis? Come on, guys.
He goes by Donnie in the movie.
Of course he does. And his father, Zeus. Apollo's father.
Apollo's father, Zeus. Don't fuck with me or I'll shove a lightning bolt up your ass.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're just really crossing universes
We are.
here.
It's all over the place. That movie was in New York, so it all
There you
fits
go.
together.
It's all swings and roundabouts.
Yeah. Anyway, I tried to watch this movie, and I say tried because
It's
on
got
a 14-hour plane flight, it's really hard to stay awake.
Oh, is it?
If it is for me.
Okay.
And so on the way
You are
over
known
there...
for your lethargy.
Thanks. Meant to be building me up here.
Alright. It's a charming lethargy.
A charming lethargy. This is great.
This is quality
Look
content
great on
right
my
here.
resume.
Yep.
I fell asleep about 45 minutes into it on the plane over there.
Do you have trouble watching movies just on a couch, watching a movie?
No,
You fall
I'm
asleep?
fine. I'm not like Tim.
Okay. Oh, Tim.
Friggin' Tim. Got so
You've
annoyed
been-
listening to the podcast.
You've been expelled from his body.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you're back.
I have. He regurgitated me back into this podcast. And I didn't feel like starting it again because I'd already watched 45 minutes.
So basically what this story is devolving down to is that you watched 45 minutes of Creed.
No. It goes on.
Oh, God. We're not done yet. Great.
So,
So,
travelled around America for 4 weeks.
sure.
Got on the plane to come home.
Mm-hmm.
Creed was on there.
Well, it's probably the same airline.
Yeah. And I started to watch it again. And
Fell asleep.
No.
Got home, decided to try again. Fell asleep.
I'm watching it right now. Started watching it on the way home.
Mm-hmm.
Got about 15 minutes in.
Yep.
Jamie, who I was travelling with, decided she wanted to watch it as well.
Okay.
So
did you do that thing where you both, you have your little screens in front of you, and you both have your headphones on, and then you like hover over the play button. You're like, okay, 1, 2, 3, play.
Yeah,
and then
we did that.
play at the same time.
So I restarted it again.
Okay.
Got about 10 minutes in, and this announcement thing came over, interrupted all the entertainment systems, so they could say, "Oh, turbulence" or whatever it was. I forget. Crashed our movie screening. We had to start over again.
Jesus Christ, Russell.
Yeah.
I hate this story.
So I watched the first 5 or 10 minutes of Creed about 6 times.
Sure.
And then I watched the rest of the movie.
Oh, good.
And it was fantastic.
Okay. You got there eventually.
Yeah.
You know what you could have, once again, pulled that story down into?
What?
Had trouble watching Apollo Creed. Then I watched it. It was great.
It wasn't about Apollo Creed. It was about
Whatever. Creed. I watched Creed. You're a marvel of a storyteller, Russell.
You're telling me off after the ridiculous shenanigans of the last month.
Content of the previous podcast is what you're upset with. The way in which I presented it is fantastic because I'm a great storyteller.
Sure. We'll go with that.
Fine. All right. Yes. Next topic, please.
We're
We're not
say
done
a little
yet.
bit about Creed.
All right. I thought you were done. You're like, oh, it's great. The end.
Yeah, it's really good. Michael B. Jordan plays Adonis Creed.
Don't know who that is.
He was the...
Is he Michael Jordan?
No. Actually, did I get the name wrong? Anyway, we can look it up after. He was the Thing in the new shitty Fantastic Four movie.
Don't get me started on that.
Okay.
You should be grateful that this podcast started after I watched that movie. Yes, I know who that is.
Yes.
But he's not a very large individual.
Well, he
He's not fighting in the heavyweights, is what I'm assuming.
I think it's light heavyweight in the movie.
He must have put some bulk on.
Oh yeah, he's super jacked.
Jacked as shit.
Yeah. Anyway, he gets trained by Rocky in the movie.
Who's 85 at this point.
He's quite elderly, yeah.
He's not getting back in the ring, is what I'm saying.
No, well, he gets into do training drills.
Yeah,
and
he's
stuff
not
like that.
having a match, is what I'm saying.
There's no
It's
twist
not like-
ending where
Yeah, it's like
he has
Creed
to
goes
fight.
down and then he's like, I'll take over. Put me in, coach,
He
I'm
throws
ready.
his Zimmer frame aside, climbs between the rope. No. Sly Stallone did a good job. He got nominated for the Oscar, but I think that was one of those
As like best actor or?
Best Supporting Actor.
Okay.
It was one of those, this guy's on the way out, so we better
Might as
throw
well
a
just give him
nomination.
one.
Yeah.
Did he
Well,
get
we
it?
still
Did
can.
he win?
No. It was...
Has
I
he
forget.
ever won? Surely. He's done a lot of great movies. Surely he's won.
I don't think so.
What?
Maybe for the screenplay for Rocky, but I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say Rocky, Rambo,
Yeah, but he's not really the kind of actor that wins awards.
Even
He doesn't play those kind of roles.
Even The Expendables was widely lauded as a great movie.
Not by, the Academy.
Okay, well, those guys are dicks.
The Expendables is never going to win an Oscar.
Well, I don't
It's
know.
about, guys, super ripped guys stabbing and shooting each
Yeah,
other.
that's amazing.
Yeah. The Raid should have won all the Oscars.
I don't know. Are foreign films accepted in the
Yeah.
Oscars?
Yeah.
Oscars.
The Oscars. They have
Uh,
their own category.
oh, well.
Yeah.
We can't mix the Asians in with the rest of us. It'll be like in our schools. They'll win everything.
Yeah. So, yes, Creed, thumbs up.
Give it a watch.
2 thumbs up.
Double thumbs.
Yeah.
Even though you fell asleep watching it.
Yes. Don't hold that against it. I was very tired.
Yeah. I did, when I flew back from Melbourne quite recently,
Mm-hmm.
I watched The Martian
Oh, yeah.
again.
Yeah.
That is rapidly turning into, the movie I watch over and over again.
Really?
Yeah.
What
for
was-
you would be probably Die Hard maybe, or...
Well, Die Hard I watch every year as a tradition, but I don't really watch
it's
it
our
in
great,
between,
it's our great Christmas tradition, yeah.
in between those times.
I suppose I also have to not watch it now so I can
Yeah.
enjoy it more at Christmas time.
Because if I watched it in August or something, by the time December got back around, I'd be like, I just watched it.
Again. But what would yours be? Do you have a movie that you can just sit down and watch at any point? I could quite happily sit down and watch The Martian right now.
I feel
I've
like
seen
I
it,
could watch Fury Road on a loop permanently for the rest of
Yeah,
my life.
that
and be
is
quite
pretty good.
content. I haven't tried it though.
I don't know what it is about The Martian, but I've heard stories about people who just latch onto a movie and who then just like obsessed with it. And I don't think I'm like obsessed with The Martian, but there's just something about it. Like it seems to tick all my boxes.
Oh, good.
It's got like a dude in trouble by himself, solving problems.
Yeah.
And it's great. And
That's
I love
what you want.
That ticks all my boxes. Some guy fixing problems.
No chicks.
No chicks.
Yeah.
What I do want to see though is I can't remember if I mentioned this in which we in our book review, was that I want to see a cut of The Martian that is solely from Matt Damon's perspective.
Or like first person?
No. Like
Or just only scenes with him?
Only cut everything out that's not on Mars, basically.
Yeah.
I want to see it from his point of view, where he's lonely and solving problems and all that sort of stuff. I don't want it the other garbage.
Yeah.
I don't want the people on the planet trying to help him and stuff.
Yeah, no. I kind of felt that way about the book as well.
Yeah.
Like, whenever it went back to Earth, it was like, this is pretty weak.
I want to see him trying to solve problems.
Yeah.
Again. That's the reason why I'm here.
Yeah.
But it's just, yeah. I also think it'd be, like, a very interesting viewpoint. Like, when he, like, starts conversing with them, then put those specific scenes in so you can get the back and forth.
Yeah.
But everything else, just get rid of it. Somebody do a fan edit of that,
Yeah.
and then let me watch it.
It's like in Fight Club. Mad spoilers for Fight Club, by the way.
Again, it's like 30 years old.
Even so, like, this would ruin the whole movie.
It would, yeah.
But at the end, when you find out that Brad Pitt doesn't exist...
Yeah, it's a figment of his imagination.
It replays earlier scenes from the movie with him not in it.
Oh, it's one of those
Ed
great...
Norton's just punching himself in the face.
It's one of the great movies where you watch it over again and you're like, oh no, he doesn't interact with everybody
Yeah.
else.
I actually picked up on it the first time through, and I guessed the ending.
A new special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my, like, one claim to fame.
Bruce Willis is dead at the end of The Sixth Sense. Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father.
I don't think there was really any
Rosebud
to that one.
Rosebud is a sled.
There should be. We should have just called the podcast "Rosebud is a Sled."
Rosebud is a
So
sled.
everybody knew what they were getting into when they started listening.
That's right, isn't it? In Citizen Kane, Rosebud, it's a sled. Yeah,
Which I haven't watched.
I haven't watched it either, but I picked it up.
Yeah.
Via various sources.
Okay, so I've got a few options.
Oh, I get to pick what I have to listen to.
Yeah, because I have to listen to. Here at your invitation, sir.
We're in my house.
Yes. So, I watched all of season 2 of Daredevil.
Okay, well, we can't talk about that because I haven't watched it yet.
That's a shame.
Well, I haven't.
I wanted to talk about
I
it.
could leave and then go, oh, how would I edit the podcast?
Yeah, that is a good question. I watched Spectre, the James Bond movie.
We can talk about that. I've seen it.
I watched The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
We won't talk about that. I've seen it. I've seen that twice, actually.
Alright, well, let's talk about those. Because, they're both spy movies. They're kind of linked.
They are. Did you... Let's talk about The Man from U.N.C.L.E. because it's amazing. Did you immediately draw the parallels to Archer?
No.
Archer the cartoon?
Yeah, no, I see where you're going. But no, it didn't really occur to me at the time.
The main guy, whose name I can never remember.
Henry Cavill.
Well, no, his character's name I'm talking about. I can't remember his character.
Napoleon Solo.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. That is an amazing name, by the way.
It is.
He is basically Darling Archer.
Darling Archer?
Sterling Archer, sorry. Darling.
Archer.
Darling is his codename. He's essentially the exact same character.
Yeah, but less obnoxious.
Pretty much as obnoxious.
He's like Archer when Archer's being cool, not when Archer's...
I suppose so, but he is
Being an
also
idiot.
an arrogant dick as well.
Well, yeah.
Napoleon Solo.
Yeah.
Such a great name. That's an amazing... I forgot that. That is an amazing name. But yes, no, you feel free to talk about that. I will chime in if and when necessary.
Well, I watched those one after the other on the plane.
Mm-hmm.
God, it's a long plane ride.
Okay.
And...
Did you even take a book or something?
Yeah, I took a book. I ended up mostly watching movies.
Fair enough.
Spectre, real bad.
Not the best.
Real bad.
Not the best.
Man from U.N.C.L.E. was pretty good.
Spectre, I feel like they tried to make it sort of film noirish.
Did they?
A little bit. Like old school spy stuff.
Yeah, they tried to get back to
the roots.
Yeah.
Like back to Dr. No and all that sort of stuff.
like pre-Roger Moore silliness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have gotten into so many arguments with people who don't believe that, what's his face? The first, Sean Connery.
I was just going to leave you. I
Yeah.
would have sat here all
A
night.
lot of people have gone into arguments who don't believe that Sean Connery was the first Bond.
Why?
Because they're just like, oh, no, it wasn't. He's later on. I was like, no, that was the first one.
Why are these people so wrong?
It's like, the Dr. No and all that stuff is filmed in black and white. And people are like, oh, surely it was another actor before Sean Connery.
There was like 10 of them.
10 of
Sean
what?
Connery.
Yeah. But there's also like fucking 20, James Bond movies.
Yeah. But that's very strange.
It's just happened to a couple of times where I've been in conversations with people and I'm like, oh yeah, Dr. No, Sean Connery. And they're like, no, wrong. It just seems to happen to me a disproportionate amount of time.
Is he still alive?
As far as I know.
He must be very elderly.
I don't think he's young, yeah.
I remember, was it Entrapment?
I don't know.
It came out in the 90s. It was him and Catherine Zeta-Jones. And I didn't see the movie, but I saw the poster, and it had 70-year-old Sean Connery and 30-year-old Catherine Zeta-Jones, and I'm like, no.
In like a seduction style?
It seemed like it, yeah.
Oh, that's a bit weird.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, yes, he is still alive. And yeah, Spectre, I feel like they tried desperately to harken back to the old school stuff. Like,
it was just shit. I didn't care about anything that happened.
what was the villain organization called? Was it Spectre?
It was called Spectre.
Yeah. And these new James Bond movies with the guy whose name I can never remember. Daniel Craig. Daniel Craig. I work with a guy called Daniel Craig, actually. There's a funny story in regards to that. They are just attempting to remake the old James Bond movies, like Casino Royale is just basically a plain remake. As well as...
No, that wasn't a remake.
It was a remake, yeah.
There hasn't been a Casino Royale movie before.
Hasn't it?
Don't think so.
Whatever. My James Bond knowledge is not exactly the best.
he always goes gambling, but...
I swear to God, Casino Royale is a remake. It's got like a very similar sort of poker setup.
I could be wrong.
You could be wrong.
Don't think we're going to resolve this argument.
We're probably not.
Just carry on.
What was I saying?
You're saying
The remakes, yeah.
they're like harkening back to...
back to the older school ones.
Yeah.
So once we got to the Pierce Brosnan James Bond movies, where the gadgets had just been ramped up to ridiculous levels.
Well, there's kind of a similar arc with the Brosnan films. Because the first one, GoldenEye, he doesn't really have anything too ludicrous.
He had a laser watch.
Yeah, but that's... I find a laser watch believable.
Even though the power output requirements for a laser that strong would be ridiculously fast.
Yeah, but all it does is cut through the floor. That's fine.
Okay. Well, we can't really make fun of James Bond gadgets because they've always been pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. But then in what was that one? Was it Die Another Day?
Tomorrow Never Dies?
No, that one was the second one. That was still pretty decent.
Okay.
But then the one where he's in a rocket car on the ice and there's an invisible car.
He has an invisible car, yeah.
And then he when the car crashes off the edge of the cliff into the Arctic Ocean or whatever it is. And then he's surfing on a bit of metal with a parachute. He's parasailing.
God, I completely forgot about that.
That has always stuck in my mind. And you can clearly see that he's just standing in front of a camera on a stage going like this. And they put up a wave on the green screen behind him.
Yeah, look, it's garbage. I'm not going to try and argue that it's not. But even Spectre doesn't have that much in the way of high-tech gadgets because it's still trying to harken back to the old school style.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it just fails.
Yeah.
It doesn't succeed.
And poor Batista.
Who?
Dave Batista.
Oh, the bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was also in, whatchamacallit, the Inglourious Bastards?
No, you're thinking of Christoph Waltz. Dave Bautista's the big guy.
I said the bad guy, and you're like, yeah.
He is a bad guy.
He's the main bad guy who I was talking about.
You didn't say main.
Whatever.
Anyway, Dave Bautista, who was also in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Who was he? He was the big guy.
Yeah, the guy who can't
do metaphors.
Yeah.
Whose name I forget.
Yeah.
Which is very embarrassing Batista. As a Marvel fan.
He didn't get anything to do.
Well, even
he showed up and they were like, "Oh, go after James Bond," and he's like, "Okay," and then he just silently pursued James Bond for the rest of the movie.
Well, even Jaws back in the day never really had much in the way of a speaking role.
No, but he had metal teeth.
He
And
did
he was
have metal
used
teeth.
sparingly.
He was. Well, so was this guy. He wasn't really around a lot.
He was around way too much.
He was
Never
around.
got to say anything.
He was around like twice. He was around when they first introduced him, where he killed a guy by crushing his eyes and head, and then he was around for the big fight in the train where he got
No,
killed.
it was also an extremely long car chase.
There was
quite
too.
boring.
Yeah, I think when I watched that, I was like, "There's no way a man that big in a car that small could drive that fast."
He weighs more than the car.
He weighs more than the
engine
car,
would not be able to move.
It's just like as soon as he got in, like one side would just be grinding on the ground. Anyway,
The Spectre was real bad.
Spectre
It
wasn't
took itself
the
too
best.
seriously.
Well, yeah. I feel like Bond movies either take themselves nowhere near seriously enough or way too seriously. It's very hard to get in that middle ground.
Unless they're GoldenEye.
Unless they
Which
all know.
is the perfect James Bond movie for me.
It's pretty good.
It's also the first one I saw, which probably biases me towards it. But it's just great.
Anyway, before we move on to the Man from U.N.C.L.E., I work with a guy called Daniel Craig.
Oh, yes.
And he is in a band called Girl Pal.
Right.
It's just him and this guy. That's not important to the story. He was flying somewhere on a plane recently to go do a band thing.
He tried to watch Creed.
No. And, God, maybe, hope not. He was on this plane going over east. And he had sort of signed in early and got on the plane early, all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But there was an issue or something with his ticket or something. So he's sitting there, and over the intercom goes like, Daniel Craig, can you come to the front of the plane, please? And like all around him, he was like, ugh. And all around him, everybody was like, oh, Daniel Craig? Oh, where? How's it? And like there's like people behind him like got out and started like walking down to try and spot Daniel Craig, and he was just like, sorry guys, it's me, I'm Daniel Craig.
Did he put on an English accent at least?
He's like, oh, sorry mate, it's Daniel Craig here. No, but yeah. So that's my story about Daniel Craig.
Well,
Daniel
people
Craig,
asked me when I got
Daniel
back
Craig.
if I met any celebrities when I was in
Did you
America.
meet Daniel Craig?
No. But some people seem to think there's just celebrities everywhere in America.
Well, that's where most of them live.
The only celebrity I saw was Mikey Robbins on the plane from Sydney back to Perth.
That's not going to mean anything to anyone
No.
outside of Australia.
Except maybe my dad, who loved Good News Week back in the day.
Good News Week was pretty good.
Yeah, it was good.
Do you want to talk about The Man from U.N.C.L.E.?
Well, I just wanted to say that it was good. It had a nice, fun attitude,
Now that is a
which was
remake.
severely missing from Spectre.
Mm-hmm. It didn't take itself too seriously.
No.
Yeah.
There's lots of jokes.
Yes. But it is a remake of an old, like, 60s or 70s spy drama on
It
TV.
was a TV show, I think.
TV show, yeah.
And Henry Cavill was good. He was really charming.
Who was the
Napoleon Solo?
Yeah.
Because all I've seen him in is like
Superman and
clips
stuff?
from Superman.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this guy's shit.
He did play it very well. He was very debonair.
Yeah. Which is good to know because I didn't think very highly of him before that.
No. Maybe he just plays like an arsehole when he has to play an American.
Maybe.
But no, it is very good. And I feel like the three characters balanced off each other quite well.
Yeah.
And a good cameo by Hugh Grant.
Was it? It was a bit
He
more
was
than
a
cameo.
supporting actor, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
him. He was only around for like the last 20 minutes of the movie.
He showed up like once in the middle.
Yes. But the whole ending was very well made. And it was very well done. And it felt like that is what a James Bond movie should be.
Yeah.
You know? Not like James Bond punching a dude until I'm blowing up a base. You know? Just James Bond outsmarting a guy. You know? And using his various tools. And it was like a really big twist at the end, like a big turnaround. And it was great. It was great. I loved it.
Yeah.
I've seen it like twice.
Speaking of movies that take themselves too seriously and are too dark,
Mm-hmm.
how did you like Batman vs Superman?
Russell, come on. You've listened to the podcast we've already recorded.
I know that
You're already
not a fan.
not a fan. But there's something to be said. People have said to me in the past, and I've read from various sources, that no viewpoint should not be able to be challenged. You know?
Hang on. No viewpoint should not be able to not be challenged.
That's not what I said. I said no viewpoint should be unable to be challenged. You know?
When you're editing this later.
I will be. That's
Damn
what
it.
it's going to be. Yeah, I'm going to cut it in. Because I probably fucked it up earlier. It's just like, you should always be open to reading the opposite point of view.
Right.
You know? Which is
So
something...
have you looked at the viewpoint that Batman vs Superman was actually great?
Funny you say that. There was an article posted on my Facebook newsfeed saying that it was like, oh, Batman versus Superman. Turns out that it might just have been a little bit too highbrow for you. And I was like,
there's just clickbait playing on your like.
Oh, this was
rage.
shared. This was shared by someone who
Okay.
is actually a comic book fan as well. So I was like, I thought about it, I was like, I don't want to read that. It's just going to be someone trying to defend an indefensible point of view.
Yeah.
So I was like, but eventually I was like, but I shouldn't just like say things are shit and then not consider the opposite point of view that they might not be shit.
Yeah.
So I went and read it, and God, it was a load of nonsense. It was just like, oh, you're too used to Marvel superhero films where you just have to turn off your brain to watch them. Maybe you should actually have like tried to pay attention to it. You know, if somebody does have the ability to destroy the entire world, and there is like a 1% chance that they could do it, should we not do it? I was like, yeah, I don't have a problem with the fact that the reason why Lex Luthor doesn't like Superman is because he thinks he could accidentally, he could turn and destroy the world. I got no problems with that. It's just a shittily made movie.
It's just really badly done.
Really badly done. But I made all my viewpoints on that was it last week's or the weeks before?
Something like that.
Episode 22, I believe. No, 23. 23. This is 25. I thought this was 24. Never mind.
Okay. We'll go with that.
All my viewpoint is made clear in the 20 minutes I lambasted that movie. In the 20 minutes I lambasted that movie for.
I posted an article about it today.
Did you?
Well, I didn't write the article. I just put a link up on the Facebook page. So if you haven't seen that,
I must have missed that. Yeah.
Go and read it. There's a lament about the treatment of Superman.
Yeah, Superman can be done really well, but majority of the time he's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Because it's so hard for writers to do anything good with him because he's unbeatable. There's very few characters in the DC universe that can take him out. And if you can't write him as a superhero. You can't write him, oh, here's a story about him punching someone.
Yeah.
Because there's no interest there, because he's just going to punch him and the guy's going to fall down.
Yeah.
It's got to be more about the character of Superman and how he interacts with the people in the world around him. There's this great one that I can't remember the name of off the top of my head, where Superman just gets sort of tired of America and the way it's sort of going.
Mm-hmm.
So he just sort of like starts walking. And like initially the media are like, what's going on? What are you doing? What's all this? What are you going to do if like something incredibly dangerous happens? And he was just like, I'm just trying to find myself, I'm trying to like recenter myself, because America's going down in ways that I don't always approve of and all that sort of stuff. And then they're like, but what if like Brainiac attacks Metropolis or something? He's like, I can be anywhere on the planet in like an instant. So if something happens, I'll go there, then I'll come back and I'll keep walking. And eventually the media get bored and just sort of leave him alone because, there's other more interesting stuff going on. It's all about him walking along and like something will happen or he'll interact with people, and it's all about the way like he's interacting with the people of Metropolis and the people of America and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. Because that's like a real interesting read, like how to make this person who is so alien, to us, so unassailable, powerful wise, he's trying to make him relatable.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Sounds like it would have made a better movie.
It probably would have. There is an animated, I believe there is, I could be wrong. There's a lot of animated movies. The way it works is that Marvel does live action movies so much better than DC. It's ridiculous. They just curb stomp them all over the place.
Yeah.
But DC do way better animated movies than Marvel do. There's like 10 or so, maybe 10 or so Marvel animated movies. And they're not bad. They're not terrible. But compared to like the 30 odd that Warner Brothers / DC have made, there's some great movies in there. So if you want to see Superman and Batman pounding around and kicking ass and Batman being Batman and all that sort of stuff,
Watch the Super Friends.
Just watch the Super Friends. No, watch the animated movies.
Okay.
And I'll put some recommendations in, because I've seen pretty much all of them.
You put some recommendations in?
Yeah.
In
the blog posts and stuff. I'll send them to you. No,
post?
I'm not going to write the blog posts, but I'll
Okay.
I will post them on the Facebook group and stuff like that.
Okay, sounds good.
So if you're interested in my recommendations of good Batman movies and stuff like that, and Superman movies, then you can go there.
It's not what those sweet dollar bills are, though.
No,
It's in the live action.
it is. Yes, fair enough though. But it's probably a lot easier to pump out an animated movie, money-wise, than it is the $500 million or whatever they spent on Batman versus Superman. Well, one thing we should talk about is the fact that we had some of our first merchandise come in that you were entirely unaware about, because I did it entirely by myself with no input from you because you're on a holiday.
Yes?
But we have our very first Popculture Pontification t-shirts.
Yeah!
We got t-shirts in. There's only 2 in existence, so they're super rare. And all they've got is our logo on them.
If you'd like to own one, talk to me. We'll sort out a price.
It's literally one of the rarest things on the planet, because there's only 2 of them. We also have some flyers and stuff. But it's exciting because I made them and I put them up there. Yeah.
Well done.
So I don't know what I'm going to do with them. Probably put them around locally.
Yeah.
And stuff. But yeah, that's about it with that. The only other development in Popculture Pon, behind the scenes, all that sort of nonsense.
You're going to tell them?
Well, it's sort of a commitment if I tell.
Yeah.
But I was sitting around the other day and thinking,
I've got 300 hours.
I've got lots of time to spare. It's not like I'm moving and producing a podcast and doing other stuff.
Yeah, and working.
All that sort of stuff. And I was like, I wonder if anybody has sat down and played Final Fantasy from the start to the finish. Finish being the latest Final Fantasy.
But not the actual finish.
Because there's no end. There's no
finality.
End. I think we're up to 15, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway. And so I did some Googling, I did some searching. Not like incredibly, strenuous searching, like on YouTube and stuff like that. And I'm sure people have done it. I guarantee you people have done it. But I didn't find anybody who'd done it and recorded it and put it up.
Yeah.
So I sat there and I was like, well, I gotta rule 35 this, If it doesn't exist, you gotta make it. Do you not know what Rule 35 is?
Do you mean Rule 34?
Rule 34 is that if it exists, there's porn of it.
Yeah.
Rule 35 is if it doesn't exist, you gotta make it. So I said, I gotta Rule 35 this. I've looked for this thing, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I should look into doing it.
So you're going to make porn of all the Final Fantasy games?
It's going to take me a while, but I'm willing to put the effort in.
Okay.
No. I sat down and I was like, how difficult is it to do Let's Plays? And I was very hesitant because I didn't want to be that guy that does Let's Plays.
No, that guy is fucking rich as hell. I assume you mean PewDiePie.
It's a very saturated market. PewDiePie, by the way, fucking hated Firewatch.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah. Oh, because it was the article that you posted.
Yeah.
I read the article. Turns out he hates it.
Yeah.
Anyway, not important. It's a very saturated market, and I don't expect to get like 1 million views or whatever. But I looked into how to record Let's Plays, and it's like there's a lot of shoulders of giants to stand on. Like, people have been doing this for a long time, so there's a lot of resources out there for it. And I was concerned about like recording audio over the video and like how to layer them over and like timestamp them together and all that sort of stuff. But it turns out that on a PC, it's easy as shit. There's like one program that does the whole thing.
Oh, nice.
Can't remember the name of it. Not important. So I sat down last night.
Is it a free program?
Yeah, it's entirely free. Yeah. And it was like, all you need is this program, a computer that's decently powerful, and a microphone. I have all of those things. So I sat down last night and in front of my computer, which is not the computer that we use to record Popculture Pontification on. And
I'm sure that information is very interesting to everybody.
It's pertinent because the reason I sat down and recorded it right in front of my computer with the very powerful, very sensitive microphone that we have, which is a Blue Yeti. And I set it all up and recorded about half an hour or so of a Let's Play of Final Fantasy 1. And good God, that game is unforgiving for someone who doesn't know what's going on. Because obviously I don't have like a manual or anything like that that came with the original game. I did not get TPK'd.
Okay.
But I went around the initial area that you start in, which was fine. You just fight goblins and an occasional horse. And then I went to the very first dungeon, and the first fight nearly completely killed me at level 1. So I'm planning to do all the grinding, which is a major component in every Final Fantasy game.
Yeah, that's my favorite part.
Yeah, it's not. It's boring. Plan to do that off screen, off recording,
right?
Because nobody wants to fucking watch someone sit there and punch wolves over and over again.
Speaking of people who don't want to grind, my brother and I were playing Final Fantasy X at the same time, different games, or different save files. I mean,
yeah.
And he was like streaking ahead of me.
Wasn't grinding?
Yeah, no, he like was skipping every random battle. He was like, "This is so boring. I just want to get on with the story." And eventually, he hit a boss that he couldn't.
He couldn't beat, and then he had to grind.
And then he went back to grind, but he couldn't beat any of the mobs there either. So his game was just fucked.
How was he beating anything though?
Oh, I don't know.
Just luck.
He just ran from everything.
Yeah, but eventually you hit a fight that you have to fight, like a mini boss or whatever. How was he? It was the first one.
No. Well, he started off.
I've never played Final Fantasy X. I've really only ever played up to 9.
Okay, he got sick of grinding after like 20 hours of gameplay.
Oh, okay.
And then he just said, "I'm just racing through everything now. This will be fine. There's no way this will go wrong."
Was it one of those situations where you couldn't backtrack to an earlier area?
Yeah.
Ah, he's fucked.
Yeah, he was fucked. So he just had to give up.
Anyway, grinding off camera.
Yeah.
But the reason why it is important that I did this on my main computer and not my secondary one, which is my media server / Popculture Pontification recording machine, is that my main computer has about 8 fans in it because it is pretty high powered. And
is it actually, or is it just old?
No, it's I only built it about a year or so ago.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, and the microphone was about 2 foot away from the computer, making fan noises, and I had headphones on and all that sort of stuff. And didn't realize until after I'd been playing the game for about 3 hours, because I ground a bit for off screen, that I played back the very first recording, and in the background, all you can hear very faintly is ooh for the entire time.
Nice.
So if I ever get around to actually uploading and releasing them, then that'll be a big thing of the first couple episodes of it.
Audacity can probably help you out.
Probably, but it's all in one video file.
Oh, so the sound's not separate?
Sound's not separate.
Ooh. You might be in trouble then.
You might just have to deal with that for the first couple episodes. Anyway, that's an entire other thing that I might be doing. Because I have this annoying habit of getting really excited about a project, starting it, then getting bored very quickly, and then not doing it.
Yeah.
The only other thing of which I powered through, which took me quite a few hours, was the chainmail that came in, which I turned into a big old sheet of chainmail, then didn't know what to do with it, and then decided to turn it into a dice bag.
Yeah, you made a dice bag.
I made a dice bag, and I have given it. There you go, that's that. And I've given it to you. I've given it to Russell as a welcome back gift.
Ah, thanks, Alan.
Just a pal. We're pals gift, I guess.
Yeah.
Also, as previously discussed on the podcast, I don't like making stuff then keeping it.
Yeah.
I like giving it away.
What am I going to do with this crap?
I've made it. Now what?
Someone.
So yeah, I've done that. And so yeah, let's see if I can do this other thing. Might be interesting.
Good luck.
It's a daunting task. Anyway, I think from here, unless you've got something else you want to talk about, we can move on to something else.
What? Something else?
I was waiting for you to chime in as to whether you had anything else you wanted to talk about.
No, I'll save it for.
You'll save it for next time. Good. I got another couple of weeks listening to long, dragged-on stories about holiday stories. Are you going to bring out some pictures and show me some pictures?
Well, that doesn't really make for a good podcast.
Anyway, it's time to move on to Force Review. Force Review is, now that Russell is back to its roots. Instead of the wild, crazy, random ride that it was on when Russell was gone, in which week about we force each other to review something that we haven't experienced before. Yeah.
Pop culture related.
Well, it doesn't have to be pop culture. Pretty much every media you can consume is part of pop culture. Like, just describe something you could give me as a forced review that would not be pop culture related.
Anal beads?
It's probably part of somebody's popular culture.
Alright, well, you know what you're getting next week.
Well, next week
it has
is
to
you.
be something that I've...
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, this is the catch-22.
Well, I've got a lot of work to do between now and then.
You got to build up to anal beads. Anyway, before you went on holiday, you gave me the forced review of Snow Crash, a book by Neil Stephenson.
Yeah, I figured, 4 weeks, you got time to read a book.
Usually, considering...
Beginning to end.
Considering that I polished off The Martian in 2 days...
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's just leave it at that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Snow Crash that you remember? You've read it.
I have. It was last year, so it's a little bit hazy in my memory, but...
It's weird that people, to me... Am I just weird in the fact that I retain...
Yes, you are weird.
Well, yes. Am I weird in this aspect, though? In that I retain, pretty much the knowledge of exactly what happens in a story, years after I read it.
Just not the names of anyone?
That's my sacrifice.
Remember events, not names.
Yes, correct. Pretty much every book I read, I can tell you the whole plot. The whole plot, too.
Okay.
But other people can't seem to do that.
No. Well, let me tell you what I remember then.
All right.
Since you asked. Snow Crash is a cyberpunk book by Neil Stephenson. It was released in the early 90s. And it is about a pizza delivery guy.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember his name?
Near future.
I do.
It's an amazing name.
What is it?
Hero Protagonist.
Yep. That's, to be fair, Hiro, Hiro, isn't his full name. Is it Hirogaki or something? Hirosaki or something?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hero Protagonist.
Hero
It's the
Protagonist.
best name for the main character of the book.
Ugh. Yep.
He,
That really sets the tone for the book, by the way.
It
the
does.
fact that his name is Hero Protagonist.
I can't even remember what he's trying to do.
He's trying to deliver a pizza. Are you talking about, what, the overarching plot?
Yeah, I don't really remember what his role in it is. He's just
a
kind of
hacker.
a passenger, isn't he?
He's a hacker.
He just gets taken along for the ride.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah. While Raven is trying to do
Raven?
whatever he's trying to do. The guy with the
Oh, the
bomb
bad
and
guy,
the
yes.
motorbike.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about the other main
girl.
character, the girl.
What was her name?
YT.
YT, that's it.
Which stands for something, but I can't remember what it stands for.
Probably, I think it's yours truly.
No, on the back it just says YT.
Yeah.
It's another cyberpunky, something like that, yours truly. Some nonsense. It's a code name or a handle. It's a handle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it turns out I don't really remember the plot at all. I just remember,
Awesome. Yep.
concepts.
You just remember that it was good and you enjoyed it.
I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. Why don't you tell us about the book?
It is not good.
Objectively speaking.
Objectively speaking, is not good. Trying to take it... I've never really read the cyberpunk genre, which maybe was the problem here. It's never... I'm more of a high fantasy or hard science fiction sort of guy, instead of, cyberpunk sort of dude. And it didn't read well.
As
in narratively, it doesn't read well.
Okay.
Hero Protagonist, the main character, stupid name for a main character, but, is, again...
You love Napoleon Solo.
That's an awesome name. Hero Protagonist is just a little bit on the nose. Anyway, is basically just a dude who seems to flow through the book as a source of exposition, for the most part. He never really does much of anything. And I will preface this with the fact that I haven't finished the book. I did my best, but this is the process of me attempting to read this book.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got some time. Or I'm going to the toilet or something. I'll read this book. Pick the book up, read a couple of pages, go and then put the book down and don't look at it again.
Well, you know why it's narratively disjointed.
No, because that's not an issue for me. I can read pages here and there and I'll still be able to put together a book.
Right.
In my head. with my weird autistic brain. And it's just, it doesn't read well because it's all jargon.
Yeah.
It's like
a function of the genre.
Yeah, I guess so. But it's not like a genre that has definitive terms for things. You know? In this book, he's like, yeah, so I skied down the ether scope and then jacked into the cyber slopes and then jacked into the ether brain.
Yeah.
And then they never explain what the fuck that means.
No, they don't have to.
Because it doesn't mean anything. It's nonsense.
It's like when you watch a movie that takes a loose view of technology. And then they're like, oh yeah, we're going to hack the mainframe. You don't have to know what it means.
Yeah, but even then there's like some sort of level of connection that you can like grasp as to what they're doing. You know, where a lot of this is just jargon that is not something you can pick up what it means via context. You know? Anyway, that's the jargon just sort of like, every now and then I'd just read something and I'd be like, what the fuck does that mean? And then I'd be like, okay, usually, because I'm a big fan of Star Trek.
Yeah.
I was watching Star Trek when you came over here.
Actually. You were. I commented on their stupid faces.
Yes. All aliens in Star Trek is just humans with different facial ridges.
Yeah.
Yes. But they'll do that. They'll be like, oh yeah, so we reversed the polarity so the warp core dilithium crystals didn't go supernova. But that's like uniform throughout the series. Throughout all of the series. Is dilithium crystals is a common thing. It's a set thing as to what it means. And even if they go like, quite often it'll be like, oh, if we reverse the polarity of the positron flux, then this will fix that problem. And you'll be like, what the fuck does that mean? Yeah. But then one of the people will be like, in the show will be like, but what does that mean? And then you'll be like, oh, here is what it means. And then they explain what it means, you know, in the context of the show. That doesn't happen in this book.
Right, okay.
Now, the concept of this book is that Snow Crash is a drug.
That's right. Snow
Crash is a drug that... And this is not well explained narratively. And I'm willing to admit that maybe it's... I've got about a quarter of the book to go, so maybe it's explained better in the end. Is that it is in cyberspace. You look at this drug, which is... You look at this program or whatever, which is like just a snowscape, you know, random image, random information. And if you know binary, the snow is obviously a series of zeros and ones, represented by black and white, then the program can infect your brain and cause you to snow crash, because it's a picture of snow, random static, causes you to crash because you intrinsically understand binary. So your brain accepts that as code and it gets into your brain, and that causes you to relapse to like some sort of Sumerian fucking language or something. And it goes into so much detail on that.
Yeah, I'm remembering like a chapter-long conversation about Sumerian languages now.
Yes, it's ridiculous. And I understand why you like this fucking book, because of your fucking history degree. But a lot of it is hero protagonist jacked into his little personal mainframe, I'll get on to fucking hero protagonist in a minute. Where he's speaking to this AI program.
Yeah.
And all the AI program does is engorge information onto him about...
It just accesses Wikipedia for him.
Yeah, basically. And it just disgorges this information onto him as he asks questions. And that is all of the book. That is 90% of the book.
It's not.
It's not. It seems like it because, God, it drags on. Because it's like, he's just standing there going like, what question can I ask this librarian program? Who is, tell me, the origin of this goddess. And then it'll be 2 pages of this guy expediting the origin of this goddess. And how it so loosely fits into the context of all this. And, it's just... If I wanted to learn about Sumerian mythology, this would be the book to read. But it's all about how... And I'm going to get the races wrong and all that sort of stuff.
Uh-oh, here we go.
It's all about how all ancient mythology is linked together. Adam and Eve is sort of like this thing. And it's all about the fall of man and the introduction of sin and all this sort of stuff. is somehow, and I haven't got to the end where it ties it all together because it's fucking drag. It all ties together about how language is a virus and mythology is a virus that is transmitted like AIDS. AIDS gets mentioned a lot in this book.
Well, it was the early 90s. AIDS was kind of a big thing.
Sure. And to his credit, whenever you read like really old sci-fi, you're just like, oh Jesus, this is old sci-fi. The way they write this is just like, oh, technology, amazing. And it's like, that's like a fucking smartphone, whatever. This doesn't read like it was written 30 years ago. You know, it reads like something that was written quite recently, which is why I was surprised when you said the mid-90s, early 90s, whatever. But it's just such a convoluted connection about how language died out because it was a virus, but it was stopped being propagated, and now somehow Snow Crash is reverting people to this ancient dialect because somebody's recreated the virus. Is any of this ringing a bell?
Yeah, I don't remember all the details.
Yeah, it's a load of nonsense, that's why. And it's such convoluted nonsense. Anyway, storyline is garbage. Only cool bit is that the bad guy is this enormous Asian, I believe he's Asian. I can't remember what his race is. That's not really important. Called Raven.
Yeah.
Who is this big bikey dude.
Yeah. Who
travels around. And in the future, this is set in the future where all government has collapsed. And
the world's run by corporations. Which is like the Yakuza and the Mafia and all that sort of stuff. That stuff is interesting. Yeah.
Everything with YT in it, by the way, so interesting. Because that's actual plot progression.
Yeah.
Everything with hero protagonist is just bland exposition and it's garbage. Anyway, is basically this biker that travels around with a sidecar on his motorcycle, which is a nuclear bomb.
Which is hooked up to a dead man's trigger in his brain.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. All that stuff is great.
Yeah.
And he's got a knife that can cut through like knife-proof clothing and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So
he's super badass.
He's super badass. Hero protagonist, on the other hand, is like what a 15-year-old would write that a cool 19-year-old is like.
Yeah, he's a fucking samurai.
He is a guy who basically is a cool hacker, wears a samurai sword, and is an expert swordsman. Can sort of hack his way into anything. Lives in like a storage unit because he's just so cool and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And he makes his money off of like managing rock shows and all this sort of stuff. At one point, he manages a rock show. I just read the book.
Wasn't it his housemate?
His housemate was in the rock show. He organized. He managed the rock show. And everything with this guy, I'm just like, ugh. It's like you're somebody's fucking fan fiction of what they'd be in their own cool world, instead of an actual. And he lives in this traditional Japanese house in his little cyberspace world.
Yeah.
It's like this little geisha house or whatever. Not a geisha house. This little Japanese house. And, he like is a man of honor and all this sort of stuff. I was like, get fucked. And at one point, he comes and breaks out YT out of lockup because she's been arrested for something.
Yeah.
And he causes a distraction, which causes her to allow her to escape. And he runs into a bunch of these guys. For some reason, they're going to shoot him. And they pull out all these guns. And this is from YT's perspective, his young courier sort of partner. And all these guys have guns. And then he just pulls his sword out like he's going to fight him. I was like, you're a fucking idiot. And like whole tracks of the book are him talking about his sword craft, which he takes super seriously. And he's the #1 sword fighter in the cyber world and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's fucking ludicrous. And I hate every second of it. And usually I push through these Force reviews and, I dig down deep and I manage to get through to them. This is the hardest one you've ever given.
This is, well, I guess it is the longest as well.
I suppose so.
It's like Indiana Jones or whatever. Like
that was garbage.
No matter how bad it is, it's only over 2 hours long.
It's true. The longest comparison to this was the one that Tim gave me, which was Madoka Magica, which I literally fell asleep watching. And I managed to get through that. This I have not managed to get through.
Right.
So maybe it all ties together at the end, and maybe it's amazing. but 3/4 of the way into this book,
Mhm.
I fucking hate it.
Okay.
Anyway,
That's fair enough. It sounds like it's not your cup of tea.
2 out of 10.
10 out of 10 from me.
You're a fool.
Actually, I stopped reading a book
Did you?
on my holidays. We went to Key West in Florida,
Mm-hmm.
which was the home of Ernest Hemingway in his latter days.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, I'm going to
You
read
try
an
to read
Ernest
them.
Hemingway book.
Old books are hard to read.
It was so boring.
Yeah, they're very dry.
The Sun Also Rises. And it was just about a bunch of alcoholics in Paris in like 1920 or something. Oh, God. Anyway.
Not
all
your
I
cup
got
of
to say
tea.
about that.
Not your cup of tea.
No, not my cup of tea.
I'm tempted to give you a book to read as the Return Force review, but all of my books have been packed away, so I can't help you out in that regard.
Well, if it's on Kindle, it's probably only $10 or something.
Yeah, but I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Okay.
So what I'm going to give you
Yeah.
in return of
Yes.
this garbage book is actually one of my favorite movies of like I don't really know what genre this would fall in. Sort of like adventure.
Shit genre?
Oh, calm down. It's a good movie. It's not one of my favorite movies, and it's a piece of shit.
Right.
Called Tremors, which
Okay.
I don't think you've ever seen because we just discussed it off mic. Which is a Kevin Bacon movie
Yeah.
in this town in which these large underground sort of slug-like monsters.
Have you just spoiled the whole movie?
Nah, it's on like they're on the cover of the DVD.
Oh, okay, so it's not 90 minutes of him going, oh, what's causing this tremors in the ground?
That's like the first 10 minutes.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, it's sort of like a adventure horror movie in this sort of small country town. So that's what you get through. You get to read Tremors, and there's
Cool.
4 of these movies as well. Tremors 1 through 4.
I'm only reviewing the first one.
Well, I will make you go. I got a fortnight before I get to make you review something else. I think that's about it. I
Yep.
think we're good.
Yep,
Okay.
sounds good.
If you've liked this, you can go to our website at popculturepon.weebly.com, in which Russell will be putting up a blog post in regards to all the stuff we've discussed here today.
Or will I? You
Or
have
will
to
you?
go and read it to find out.
Dun dun dun. And you can always contact us at popculturepon@gmail.com
Yep.
to email us about anything and everything.
We're on Facebook at facebook.com/popculturepon. And we're on Twitter at popculturepon.
Yes. Everything else, you can just Google Popculture Pon, because that covers pretty much everything.
Yeah, it's everything.
Go and watch me let's play all of the Final Fantasy games.
Yeah.
If I get around to putting it up.
And we need to make a Twitch channel.
Make a Twitch channel. Why do I got to make all the
I
channels?
said we.
Alright. Well, you mean me.
I'll go home and do it tonight. And then
Uh,
I'll work out how to stream my terrible Street Fighter
Sure.
games.
and if you like this, feel free to come on back next week for another episode of Popculture Pontification. So, first show back. How do you think it went?
You threw me off. You were like bagging me the whole time.
I did give you a fair bit of sass.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's just like, you gotta take your lumps. You know, you've been gone for a while.
Why are you going to take your lumps?
Because I say
It
so.
doesn't need to be lumps.
There's many a lump to be given.